Greetings, mind crafters, and welcome to another exciting discussion with little G and I. My name is Kimberly Quinn, and there's Giovanni back there. So I'm out here in the burnt sienna once again. It's November, and G and I are so happy after my foot issue. I mean, it's still healing. Not ready to run yet or walk long distances, but we're good with it. This is a start, and we're able to be out here. It's great. Although hunting season starts tomorrow, which. I sound like a shot over there. Hopefully not. He's got his little mindfulness coat, lime green vest on. But we will not be out here for the next 2 weeks because it's not safe anywhere in the woods, in Vermont anyway. And we love Vermont. We just don't want to hike in this time in November. So anyway, my inspiration today is to talk about the connection between gratitude and forgiveness, because it's huge. And there's also, I'm going to get to it a little bit, but there's a Stanford guy, I'm forgetting his name, Fred something, Luskin maybe? Anyway, I use like a 5-minute little clip of him. He's from Stanford, and he talks about the connection between gratitude and forgiveness. I think that's his name, Fred Luskin. Anyway, you could look up Stanford gratitude, it'll probably show up. But really what I wanted to talk about first, before we get into the gratitude and forgiveness thing, and some people might want to hang up on me, which you can do. I would not suggest it if you want to really learn about the connection between gratitude and forgiveness, because it's a good one. But a lot of people might want to hang up when they just hear the word forgiveness. A lot of people don't like the word, which is fine. Then you change the word. You can get to the same place. You can say let it go. You can say evaporate, delete, and something. You can say whatever you want, as long as it's it's really all the same thing. So a lot of people are really apprehensive about forgiveness, or there can be roadblocks to forgiveness or letting it go, however you want to say it, because there's actually really there are a few. Probably the biggest one is that many people don't let themselves forgive, don't make a choice to forgive, because they have it in their heads that it gives the perpetrator a pass. It absolutely does not. It absolutely does not give the perpetrator a pass. And the gift we give ourselves. Also, another one that stops or gets in the way of people forgiving is they want an apology. Well, it ain't going to work if the wrongdoer, offender, perpetrator's dead now, is it? We're not going to get the apology. And here's the thing. Even if the person's alive and they're not in prison and not dead or not wherever, just walking around having a grand old life in some other state or part of the world or whatever, having no idea we're hanging on to these heavy grudges that are only hurting us. We don't want to have our need for happiness, inner peace, joy, all these things that not forgiving robs us of. We don't want our inner peace and happiness attached to some external outcome, like an apology. We have absolutely no control over that. And even if we got one, it may be sincere, it may not be. Who knows? There's a spectrum of things of wrongdoing, right? There's somebody told a lie about you in 3rd grade, and then there's blatant, terrible abuse and sexual, physical, emotional abuse, and then there's the whole middle, right? So that all depends. If it's a salvageable relationship, one that you want to keep, and somebody just had a really bad day or bad week or bad month, then that's different. You may get a really sincere apology out of them, and that's fantastic, because that's more the over here range. And that's super. And then you can repair the relationship, and it's great. And sometimes people think that it's necessary, that it's part of forgiveness to repair the relationship. That is absolutely not true. I mean, if somebody's, molested at 5 years old by a trusted family member, I think many people wouldn't encourage that there to be a relationship there. But here's the thing. A person's probably not going to change anyway. And even if they did, I'm not sure, that's if that's a good idea, right? Here's the thing. We can still forgive even something that horrible, because we're going to get to the definition of forgiveness. Actually, right now is a good time, right, G? And I think the reason that people get caught up in this is they think they're stuck in that old cliche of forgiveness, which is to forgive is to forget. Forgiving is forgetting, which implies sometimes repairing a relationship. That is not a box we need to check. It's completely your choice if you want to repair the relationship. And it may just not be a healthy decision, like the child molester, example, right? So, and then versus the best friend who just went through a hard time and didn't mean to say these things and Okay, so that whole forgiveness versus forgetting thing. Here's why it's complete crap. Anybody who has been through trauma, any kind of trauma, knows that the last thing the brain wants to do is forget about it. It's just this thought ambush constantly, remembering. So the brain does not work. Well, it does work like a computer in some ways, and it doesn't in others. We obviously can't just push a delete button and it goes away. That isn't what happens. Or, wouldn't that be nice if we could kind of delete, some of those really horrible traumatic experiences, but it doesn't work that way. It's the opposite of that. And so forgiving, so I love Claudia Black, little tiny Claudia Black. Oh, I'm hearing gunshots. I'm not sure why they're out here right now. Little Claudia Black, she's a little powerhouse. She still is. I think she's still around. Probably, I don't know, she's got to be older now. Probably, I don't know, maybe 90, guessing. I don't really know. But I saw her back in the 80s when I was at St. Mike's. And there was just a packed auditorium. So pioneer of ACOA, which is Adult Children of Alcoholics. And she got into a lot of things and the characteristics and traits, all this stuff. And then she brought up the whole forgiveness thing, which is a big topic amongst those who grew up in an addicted family, right? So she gets up there, a little tiny pint of peanuts, and she says, forgiving has absolutely nothing to do with remembering. Absolutely nothing to do with remembering. It has everything to do with remembering and choosing to move forward. It has everything to do with remembering and choosing to move forward. For me, that was a life changer. That was like an Oprah pump moment, that was. Because this way we're separating. We don't have to forget. What we're doing is making a conscious choice to not let that person take any more from us. Whatever they did was enough. They took enough. So it kind of puts a stop on that. And we take our power back because we move the whole idea of forgiveness. I'm talking about secularly. And I say to my students, if you're Christian, Muslim, Jewish, or practice some kind of spirituality, whatever, you go ahead and turn that into whatever you want to through your own schema, your framework. But I'm talking about healing, psychological healing, and letting things go. And I don't know of a therapeutic treatment out there that doesn't embrace letting it go is a main, brick in the foundation, because we got to clear out the junk if the good stuff's gonna come in too. Because when we block out we put all these blockers up with all the bad memories, all the everything else, then the good stuff can't come in either. It's just sort of how it works. Plus, when we sort of invite or invite either one, these old past memories to come into our now moment, they bring with them the old emotion. It's like, a barnacle on a dolphin. Dolphin's trying to swim, and the dolphin's got barnacles all over. It brings that old emotion. So we're reliving it in 2023, like we lived it in 2018 or 2010 or 1980 or whatever. So it's just so important to let stuff go. And this is super timely because the holidays are coming, and obviously any day, any minute, any second, any millisecond, any nanosecond is a great time to forgive and let go because you're lighter. And with the holidays coming, it makes it just that much easier. I think that much easier to tolerate the frustrations of the holidays and go with a different mindset, because mindset is everything. And forgiveness is a gift we give ourselves. So Dr. Jakes, who's sort of in my friendship circle with Oprah, she's one of my besties, only she's not aware. And yeah, we're hearing some gunshots. We're gonna go this way. Come on, G. All right, I don't know why they're out this early. Must be a different kind of hunting season. I don't know. It's supposed to start tomorrow, as far as I know. Anyway, so Dr. Jakes gets up there and says, when we're allowing all this old crap to clutter up our mind, there's picture a circle like a pizza pie, and you're giving a slice to something that happened 2 years ago, another slice to something that happened 4 years ago, another slice that happened to something 20 years ago or yesterday or whatever. Think of all those slices. We only have 100% If I could draw it on a board, I would. I'm drawing it on the woods. Okay, so you're giving a whole piece of the pie back to 2010 or whatever. So think of what's left over for now, for your relationships now, and you now. You're not playing with. It's like driving around on a gas tank with just a little bit left instead of the full tank for a great ride. And so Dr. Jake says when we hang on to our history, it is a great Oprah pump moment. When we hang on to our history, it's at the expense of our destiny, because we're giving all that energy. There's only so much emotional energy we have in one day. That's just a fact. That's the fact, Jack. And so we want to have that all for the now moments, which will then be our future now moments, instead of reliving stuff from 2010. It doesn't, no matter how horrible whatever happened was, is it, you have to ask yourself, is it worth losing my now life minutes? I don't think so. It has nothing to do with the wrongdoer, offender, perpetrator, if it's something way over here. Nothing to do with them. It has to do with you. Again, that person could be dead, or they could just not care, or they could just not be changing. They could be completely, maybe even, got a sociopathy thing going and not gonna ever care. Who knows? But the control we can sort of engage in here is what we can make the choice that we are not going to give up our power for one more second. We are not going to give up our power for one more second. And so I think it helps, definitely I know it helps, to realize, once we sort of realize it doesn't give that perpetrator anything. They don't even have to know we forgave them. Why? Because we don't care. We don't care. No one cares. Because we care. It's a forgiveness, letting it go is a gift we give ourselves. So then, benefits to forgiveness. Blood pressure goes down. Pulse mellows out. Immune system is stronger. You get sick less. Relationships are better. Why? Because we're not taking all that old crap into a new relationship. Even if whatever we're not forgiving has nothing to do with a romantic relationship. Like say it's a 5-year-old extreme example. That's still cluttering your cabinet. It's cluttering up the mind. It's cluttering up the heart. It doesn't matter if context-wise it's different, because it's sucking your emotional energy like a leech. Good example, because we're right by a pond, although they're probably doing their leech winter thing right now. Ugh, and burrowing into the leaves down under in the mud or something. I don't know. I really don't want to think about it, so let's move on. Okay, so there's all these benefits, and most of all, we feel lighter and happier. And when we clear up that space, it's kind of like clearing up the like making some white space on a clearing up space on a computer. When we allow for that white space, all that new information, all that love and kindness, and all the good stuff the whole world has to offer can now come in, because it can get in. It's like when you try to run fresh water through a clogged pipe. You can't do it. You might get this little trickle, the pipe. We've got to clear the pipes for the, also another good thing is because a gorgeous brook over here, right? If the brook's all clogged up with all kinds of wet leaves, it's not going to flow. It's the same kind of thing. So we think about it, we're hanging on to grudges. I think of that as like barbells, like the free weights, the big ones are just heavy, and like put that stuff down. Life is too short. It has nothing to do with anybody else but you. And to just, I can't tell you all the forgiving, all the letting go I've done in my life. And if it's with toxic people, which is absolutely my story, and I forgave my parents a long time ago, meaning moving forward. They do not get a pass. I move forward. And then I forgave myself for this being the best I can do. Because I am absolutely sure in this skin, I feel fantastic in my skin. And I know that I've done the best I can do on this whole ride on this earth so far. And I will continue to do the best I can do. And so I kind of, I let that go. I've done the best with what I've had in whatever situation. So there you go. And now the gratitude part, Fred, his name is Fred. I think it's Luskin. Anyway, Stanford guy, then brings that to another level with gratitude, because he talks about how they go together. Because when we, replace those negative thoughts with a grateful thought, with a positive thought, and thoughts come first, feelings second, actions and behaviors third. We've talked about that, right? So you can't feel sad without thinking a sad thought first. You can't feel happy without thinking a happy thought first. You can't feel grateful without thinking a grateful thought first. So when we do that, here's the thing, that the brain, despite the myths about, oh, she's such a good multitasker. No, she's not. She really isn't. Because why? The brain doesn't do that. The brain can only think about one thing at a time. So if we're in a place of thinking grateful thoughts, we are then feeling grateful, and there isn't any room for anxiety or depression, and certainly no room to want to harm anybody in any kind of way, even like telling a mean thing. Like, it's not there. And so Stanford guy talks about this, and if you take it to a global level, how cool it is. And then he got into, which is so true, when we're feeling miserable, all wrapped up in our own drama, we forget that there's all kinds of suffering out there sometimes. We stop to think, like a grateful thought about having running water and heat and, our health, our eyesight. A lot of countries and cities and towns within the U.S. even, people that don't have good water, running water, hot water, just think about, enough food, the whole thing. And when we really sort of think about this stuff and realize that we're not the only ones with drama, whatever's going on in my head, and he does a great thing with this. Like, how come I'm so caught up in my suffering, my drama? And I'm not saying to minimize your feelings when stuff happens. We got it to feel is to heal. We got to process. Though I see it. I see it with the Gen Zs, and they're lovely. They're absolutely lovely. And they're so lovely. And when I showed the 5-minute thing with Stanford guy, they commented on it. Wow. Like, I don't think I was realizing I was so caught up in my own, because there's obviously lots of suffering going on. For one, there's, the Israelis and the Gaza Strip people, because they are people, having horrible things going on over there, just for one. And so the gratitude, forgiveness thing, it's really quite a connection. It's really quite a connection to be in the place of sort of doing both of those, because they are ultra connected. Because again, we have a grateful heart. There's no room for anxiety. There's no room for depression. Really 100% in the moment with gratitude, and certainly no desire to harm anyone. So if we take that on a big, huge global level, it's pretty cool. And he had a really good idea or thought to talk about. And he also says that because I forget when he did it, but the video's not that new. And then Stanford guy talks about the fact that he was talking about this way before, like, positive psychology idea was sort of mainstream. Not idea, but, as a field was mainstream. And he was talking about this long ago, which I also think is kind of neat. Then he goes on to say, so maybe since, maybe is, one grain of sand on the beach, I can do my part and try to be a grateful let goer, to practice gratitude and to let go as much as possible, realizing that there's lots of other stuff going on, and what that's one small grain of sand thing does to contribute to the world is huge. And certainly not a soapbox person. I really mean this. I don't even like people. No one likes people like that, right? I was just feeling it. I didn't even plan this. I got in the Jeep, a little Jeep, because we knew this was our last afternoon to be able to walk safely out here. So we're going to find another spot tomorrow that's near condos where they're not allowed to shoot things. It's not quite the same, but I'm grateful for it because at least we're out there. So anyway, I really truly am feeling this gratitude and forgiveness to go together. Grateful heart, man, it's the way to go. Okay, so we're almost at Thanksgiving, and for me, every day is Thanksgiving. All right, this is Kimberly Quinn and little Giovanni signing off from Northern Vermont, almost during hunting season. Have a mindful day.